So, contemporary trends in human resource planning, a very, very relevant topic in today's world. Now, don't worry if it sounds like a heavy title. I promise we will keep it light, we will keep it relatable and useful enough so that you can confidently write about it in your exams and maybe even sound smarter at chai breaks. So, let us begin by understanding what human resource planning or HRP in short is all about. So, do you know about VUCA? VUCA world. Have you heard about this term VUCA? What is VUCA? Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. Now, I would like to uh, invite you to know about VUCA square world. Let's add a D square here. What is VUCA square world? What is this D square? This is digitally disruptive. VUCA, VUCA square world. So actually, we are all living in a VUCA 2 world or VUCA square world. Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and digitally disruptive. I might sound like a broken record, expanding VUCA 2 again and again, but it is very, 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 very important for you in term and examination as well as in your daily life as managerial aspirants, as managerial students. You need to know about VUCA world. You will hear about this term every other day. That is why. Okay. So, in such a VUCA square world, organizations, can we afford to be slow or can we afford to be outdated? No, we need HR strategies that are agile, that are smart, as well as futuristic, right? And that is where the contemporary trends, that is a shift from the traditional ways of working to data driven decision making, comes into picture. Okay. Now, before the pandemic, HR planning was already evolving, right? Companies had started using data. They had started experimenting with flexible work models. They were already talking about diversity and inclusion. But once COVID-19 hit, it was like someone had pressed the fast forward button and on all of these changes. Suddenly, working from home was not a privilege anymore, but it was a new norm. Mental health was no longer a taboo topic, and digital skills were no longer optional. So, one big trend that we can see today is data driven decision making. HR is no longer about any gut feeling or manager's intuition anymore. It is about using analytics to decide who to hire, how to retain talent, how to improve employee performance, right? It is like an HR with a calculator, spreadsheet, and maybe even a bit of AI also these days. Not bit of AI. Now, if COVID-19 pressed fast forward button, AI is pressing fast forward, right? So a lot of AI, I should say. Now, speaking of diversity, in equity, and inclusion, this is another very important topic that is very hot also because companies are now realizing that having a team full of people who think, look, or act the same is kind of boring and bad for business. So, what they are doing is they are forming employee resource groups or ERGs, employee resource groups. Okay. And what they are doing is they are offering sensitivity training and they are revising policies to make the workplace more inclusive. You all know, right? The LGBTQ community is there. So the organizations are willing to hire them. Then when they get hired, if the existing culture is not supportive, then they will not stay in that organization. They will leave, and with that, organizations will lose talent just because of somebody's orientation and their personal orientation does not make them any less valuable as a resource, as a working resource, correct? So we don't want to lose out on, companies no longer want to lose out on good or great talent just because of a personal orientation. And they have to make sure that the people who are already there don't, shun them away, don't make them run away from the organization. Right. So even in my organization also, like a few weeks back, we had this sensitivity training, um, to for this inclusion of different groups. Right. So it is no longer just about hiring women for Women's Day campaigns anymore. It is very, very, very real. Then of course, apologies. So then there is the concept of remote work. So it started as a lockdown compulsion, but now it has become a lifestyle. Companies have understood that people can be productive even when they are in their pajamas, right? So flexible work arrangements, hybrid models, compressed weeks, work from anywhere options, all of these things are there. This is also a very, very recent trend. It's a contemporary trend, and this is also here for to stay. Now, let us talk about employee well-being. Okay, earlier wellness meant offering some samosas in the canteen every Friday or free lunch then and there, maybe some outings, a team outing, something like that. But today, it is all about mental health support, stress management, flexible hours, encouraging a proper work life balance. Like, see, you might have seen the news, right? A couple of months back, even Narayan Murthy was saying youngsters have to work 70, 80, 90 hours a week. I don't know how that is humanly possible. Um, and he himself is now stating that the importance of work life balance, right? It is said that Infosys employees get mails from the HR team if it is seen that they are working for more than 9 hours, correct? So work life balance is becoming there is a lot of push for work life balance. Similarly, a lot of companies are giving off discounts on coach these therapy sessions and all, even conducting therapy sessions, yoga sessions, all sorts of things. There are what you can say wellness groups within the organization who conduct regular yoga sessions or mindfulness programs and all, in order to make sure that the mental health of employees are being taken care of, that they are not overworked and burnt out, right? Because let us face it, nobody can work well when we are feeling burnt out or when we are feeling blue. So how you can get your employees out of such feelings faster, so that they will also they will get back on track and keep working for you, right? That is on the rise now. We are focusing on employees' well being and mental health. Nothing is a taboo anymore. We can talk openly. There are a lot of forums being conducted regularly in most big organizations, it is there. Then another trend that is shaking things up a little bit is upskilling and reskilling. Upskilling and reskilling. This is happening because of technological changes. Currently, upskilling and reskilling is happening in the AI front because that is on the rise. Technology is evolving faster, right? So companies also have to train their people continuously. If your current job is becoming outdated, then you better learn something new. Or what will happen? You will become replaced by a chatbot, right? So beware. Use AI. Don't fear AI. Use it, right? Now, corporate social responsibility. This has also entered the HRP chat nowadays. Earlier, corporate social responsibility was managed by a separate department, or it was seen as more or less like a PR stunt and all. But today, HR is actively involved in creating meaningful social impact, whether it is through sustainability initiatives or community outreaches or inclusive hiring. Corporate social responsibility is another contemporary trend that we can see in the HR space. Then, of course, yeah, as I was saying, AI. AI is something that nobody can ignore. It's in our face, right? Anywhere you look, there is AI. Too much AI. AI as well as automation. From shortlisting CVs to answering basic employee queries, AI is helping HR become more efficient, right? But don't worry, AI is not here to steal your job yet, but you need to understand that if you want to work in modern HR, you need to know AI. You need to know how to use AI for your betterment, for your progress. And by your progress, by I mean your organization's progress. Like even in my organization, some of the HR queries are now use a chatbot for getting answers. Before we go and speak to an actual HR person, we have to first make sure that our queries are not be like the chatbot is not able to resolve our queries. Only then we'll be routed to an actual human. Okay. Yeah. So AI, chatbots, automation, digital tools, all of these things are here. And just like how remote or flexible work or options or employee well-being is here to stay, even AI and chatbot is here to stay. So learn to work around them, right? Now, another interesting shift that we are seeing in the workforce structure is agility, agile workforce structure. So, the idea of such a structure is to make teams more responsive as well as adaptable. So, instead of, say, rigid hierarchies or slow decision making, we are nowadays seeing flatter structures, quick project teams, and more collaboration across departments. And all these trends have only intensified after the pandemic. So this pandemic, this COVID-19, this shift, as I said earlier, also it was like a fast forward button. Earlier, it was like a one or two teams, maybe companies were just tinkering with these ideas, but now it is there. It is all in place, right? So remote work, as I said, remote work, virtual meetings, online onboarding, agile teams, these are all the new normal. Companies are redesigning their offices, they are rewriting their HR policies, and they are most importantly, they are retraining their existing staff also. Because the post pandemic world is demanding different skills, better emotional intelligence, and the ability to thrive in uncertainty. Now, let us take a little bit of a global peek. Worldwide, what is happening? Is it whatever I've said so far? Is it something that only Indian companies are facing? No. Companies all over the world are facing issues similar to what we just saw. How to manage remote teams across different time zones, how to ensure there is diversity across geographies, and how to provide meaningful employee experiences when your employee is sitting 7,000 kilometers away from your head office. Right? Global HRP, global human resource planning. It is all about being digital, being inclusive, and being socially responsible. And all of this at the same time. Okay. Enhanced employee experience has therefore become a strategic priority for organizations today. It is no longer something that is optional. If you are to stay relevant, if you have to stay number one at the best places to work, you need to be having this, all these things. And India, the scenario in India is a little bit unique. Why? Because we have the advantage of a young population, or so called our demographic dividend, right? But with that, we have challenges because, as you all know, there is a lot of skill gap. There are a lot of graduates in the market, but are they skilled enough for being employed in whatever kind of work the companies need today? There is a skill gap right now, right? There are digital infrastructure issues also. They're getting bridged, but it is there. Social inequalities are there. Indian HR planners have to walk a tightrope between this tradition and innovation, right? For example, with this diversity, equity, inclusion, right, DEI, it is important globally. So in India, we have to think about caste diversity, rural inclusion, gender sensitization, right? What I talked about earlier was only about gender sensitization, but think about it. It is not simply just that, right? Especially in India, especially. Okay, so let us not forget that Indian companies, especially like the big IT giants and all, they have been early adopters of remote work and hybrid models. Even tier 2 and tier 3 cities are now seeing talent hubs emerge. Like, for example, earlier we had a few months ago, maybe I think it was last year, when Infosys opened a new campus somewhere, right, in an outskirts of Bangalore, not the major, like not the existing tech hubs. I forgot the place. People were even given bonuses to shift to those tier two, tier three places in Infosys. Yeah, it was there. So yeah, we are adopting. We are seeing companies, Indian companies, adopt to change, expand to remoter areas, not just the metro cities, and create work opportunities over there as well. But but to make the most out of all these changes, companies need strong HR planning based on data, empathy, and flexibility. So now the big question is, how do we implement all these trends, right? Is it just enough to know the theory? No. We should also be able to walk our talk, right? Organizations can start by improving their internal communication, start listening to their employees, involve them in the planning. They must invest in technology also. Simply, it's not enough to buy software, but we have to train people to use such softwares well. They need to put employee well-being at the center. And it should not be just in posters, but in real policies. This diversity, equity, inclusion, CSR, they should not be simply, check boxes to be ticked, but rather they should be integral parts of the HR strategy. Only then we can implement, or we can make use of these trends. We can ride these trends. Of course, continuous upskilling, that is something that is non-negotiable. Whether it is in digital marketing or coding or simply learning how to use Microsoft Teams without accidentally muting yourself. All of that counts, right? At Zoom, you should know how to get into a Zoom meeting, how to mute yourself, unmute yourself. At least that, even that, upskilling is mandatory. So to wrap up this whole unit, we can say that HRP, one thing is clear, that HRP is changing rapidly. So if you're planning to work in HR, or if you're already doing it and you're just simply pursuing this degree for to have that degree backing, then definitely you need to keep your eyes open. You have to keep your mind flexible and your heart people centric. Today's HR is no longer about hiring and firing. I've been saying this in every session. So I hope you understand how important it is to nail this thing, this idea into your brains. It is not about hiring and firing. You think about HR, it should not be simply hiring and firing. It should be about building workplaces that are inclusive, that are adaptable, tech savvy, and more importantly, deeply, deeply, deeply human. So the next time, if someone tells you, you say that you're doing HR specialization, or if you say that you're working in the HR department, and they go like, "Oh, managing people, ah," you should be able to confidently say that yes, I'm managing people, but I'm also managing change, technology, culture, strategy, and sometimes even virtual birthday parties. Right? You guys are the superheroes. So I hope you found this session useful in your term and examination preparation. I hope that the concepts that we discussed in this particular video stay with you and help you out in writing your exams. So until we meet again, happy learning.